It's blue.
Hello.
There you go. Say hello. So, hello everybody online, and welcome back to 3D Bootcamp by CADA Trumax. My name is Chelve. I am the resident Blender teacher and Unreal teacher. I also do a bunch of different things, and it is lovely to have you guys with us today. Today we will be playing around with Blender. If this is your first time, don't worry. We will be going through every little step of the way from setup and correct workflow for 3D production. Blender is what we in the industry call a DCC. It is a digital content creator, which means it can sort of do everything, but not any of it particularly well. And there are specialized softwares that will do minute things a lot better. and we will touch upon one of them next week, actually. So yeah, let us get started. Boop. As you can see here, oh, you guys cannot see my mouse. Let me just fix that. Now you can see my mouse. There you go. If this is your first time opening up Blender, you will be met with the quick setup screen. There's not a lot of things I would do to the quick setup screen except the spacebar action. There's no reason to have it on play. A much more useful thing to have it on is search, especially if you're beginning, because the search function is lovely. So you can find a function, you can find your different tools and stuff like that, but it will also tell you the hotkey. So after you search for 20 times, you can see what the hotkey is and you can start using that instead. You're also allowed to go to 50 times and 100 times. Take it at your own pace. If you really want to, you can also change the theme of Blender. Blender Dark is the nicest one on the eyes, I think, but you can go into white and completely blind yourself. So I'd stick with dark. You're welcome to go with anything else, but dark. From here on out, we're going to click Next. And here you should be met with your standard startup screen. This will open up every time you open up Blender. And as you can see out here, I have a bunch of extra files because these are the files I've worked on in the past. If most of your computers likely won't, if you do, cool. We are going to pick a general file type here. And doing that will throw us into 3D space. So 3D space is built up of 3 axes. It's built up of the Y, that's the green one going across your screen, the X, that's the red one going across your screen, and the Z, which is not visualized, but it is the up axis in Blender and most other 3D softwares, except Maya. To navigate around in 3D space, oh, sorry, I need to turn on something for you guys. I have a screencast keys. The reason why this wasn't turned on by default is because it gets turned off when I reset my config, and it's sort of a back and forth. Do I want to show you guys setup, or do I want to have my screencasts from the beginning? And I want to show you guys setup. There we go, and I want mine on the right-hand side. There you go. Can everybody see the screencast keys out here? Perfect. So make it a bit bigger. There you go. Oh. There we go. So now you should be able to see what I press on. So basic navigation is middle mouse button, click it and hold it down, and you can orbit around in 3D space. This means we're going to turn around in all the 3 axes we have used inside 3D space. Hold down Alt and middle mouse button, and it will snap to what's called orthographic view. Orthographic view is something that doesn't exist in real life. It is a view without perspective. This comes in really handy when you get into more advanced modeling. We won't be using it too much today, but it's nice to know that it's there. Middle mouse button and Shift will allow you to pan, so to move your entire world around. So you have a new focus of your orbit. That will generally be the middle of your screen. And the last one we have is Zoom, which is holding down Control and then dragging down or back and forth with your mouse while holding down middle mouse button. You can also scroll on your scroll wheel. This goes in and out in steps though. So it depends on if you want to do it smoothly or you want to do it in increments of 15. All right. And don't worry too much. Those hotkeys will, you will learn them slowly. Allow yourself to learn. Don't get too frustrated in the beginning. So inside 3D space, we can left click on things to select them. You can see here I'm left clicking on a light, a cube, and a camera. And as a general rule, when we're using Blender or any 3D software really, we don't want the things it spawns with. We don't want the things that are there by default because they have a bunch of legacy code on them. They have a bunch of things already coded into them that can mess up things down the road, so we're going to just straight up delete them. Press X on your keyboard and it'll ask you if you really want to delete it. We do. And then we're going to add back in a cube. The way we do this is by pressing Shift and A. This will bring up the Add menu where we can add things to our scene. Under the Mesh menu, we can add a cube, like so. All right. So this is our navigation, and this is how we delete and we add things to our scene. Now we should learn the 3 tools that we use 80% of the time. That is our movement tool. So if you press G on your keyboard, this will activate the grab tool, and you can move things around in 3D space. If you press, while having pressed G and before you left click to accept, if you press X or Y or Z, you will lock to those axes. So here you can see I am only moving on the X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis. And if you want to cancel the move because you don't like it, you can right-click. This is really nice. Next tool we have is rotation. So we press R on our keyboard and we can rotate freely in 3D space. This also works with the locking to axes, like so. If you are used to a different 3D software, I don't know about every software, but most other softwares, they will rotate with an axis. In Blender, you rotate around the axis. It's just a little thing, but I've seen it confuse a lot of people who are used to other softwares. So it's nice to just have that little vocalized tip. There you go. And the final tool is our scale tool. Oop. So S for scale, and this will scale uniformly in 3D space, or we can lock it to axes. If some of you are thinking right now, it would be really nice to be able to move in 2 axes at a time, or scale in 2 axes at a time, stuff like that, there is a way of doing this. So if I press G and then hold down Shift and select an axis, so if I do G and Z, I am excluding the Z axis from my movement. So this means when I hold down Shift and press an axis, I'm telling it which axis I don't want to move in. This of course works with the other ones as well. I can only move in the X and the Z if I press Shift Y, Shift X, Y and X. All right. So I am going to move my cube a little bit upward because we want it above 0. All right. Just letting everybody follow up, and there's a few people coming in late. So everybody at home, how are you guys doing? If you have any questions, write it in chat. I will answer them if I have the time when you ask them, or they will be written down by my wonderful assistant Christian and fed to me later at times of pause. Yeah. And is everybody at home doing all right? You're enjoying Blender? Enjoying 3D? It's your first foray into it? All right. Good, great, lovely. All right. So it looks like everybody's moved their cube up. It's perfect. It's a bit hard to model an object when all we can do is move and rotate and scale. So luckily we can switch into what's called edit mode. And the way we switch into edit mode is by either pressing Tab on our keyboard or going up here into the left-hand corner. And then go into edit mode with our cube selected. Now you can see our cube is built up of different elements, and these are the elements that all 3D consist of. The first one, and the most basic one, is a vertex. This is a point in space with location data on it, and that's all it is. But that means that all it can do is move. So I cannot scale on a point, I cannot rotate a point, I can only move a point. That Yep. All right. If we press 2 on our keyboard, this will take us into edge mode, and edges are lines drawn between two vertices. So that means, of course, we can move them, but we can now also scale them because it has a relative position compared to each other. And we can also rotate it because we're going from the middle of our selection. And the final mode is if you have 3 or more edges, you can have a face. Faces are generally what's considered the visual part of 3D models and are what we will most of the time project everything onto or model with. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to select our top face, left click it, press G and Z to move it upward so we have a rectangular shape. All right. I saw somebody, the hotkey for rotate was R and the hotkey for movement is G. All right. Now we want a bit more geometry to work with because we're going to be making a barrel today. So that means we got to take our cube and we got to round it out a little bit. There are multiple different ways of doing it, but somebody's already lost online. It happens. And it seems like there's a lot of questions in the classroom. It's all right. Yes. So, in case you need to go into select mode, select your cube, go up into the left-hand corner, and go to edit mode. If some of you have turned your cube see-through, like so, it is because you pressed Alt and Z. It is also possible that you switched to a different view by pressing Shift. Oh. Yeah. What the hell? Yeah. Because you might have pressed Shift Z. This will switch you into wireframe mode. All right. VOD. All right. So, just gonna go back a few steps. There's some people at home who need my help. So, if you are unable to select the face on top, it's because you're not in edit mode. So select it, select your cube, press Tab on your keyboard. That's the 2 arrows pointing in each their direction, like so. And then you can left click and press the top face. This will allow you to select the face. If you're only able to select vertices, press 3 on your keyboard, and this will bring you into the face select mode. Then we can select it, press G and Z to move upward, like so, until we have a nice rectangular shape. All right. From here, we are going to add some extra geometry to our model. We can, as some of you are probably thinking, because you have a little bit of experience with Blender, we could subdivide it, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to go the long way around. So I'm going to go out here on my left-hand side, and this is where all of our tools that we will be modeling with are. There's one of these that is a cube with a green line drawn over it that is called loop cut. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to add 2 loop cuts, one to each of the vertical faces, and this will go all the way around my object. Like so. And to get out of loop cut mode, I'm going to press W. This will bring me back into select mode. Now I can select things again without creating more loop cuts. All right. So far, so good. I'm going to press 2 on my keyboard to go back to edge mode. And I'm going to hold Alt and Shift down. And this will allow me to select and add to my selection loops of edges when I left click on them. So again, I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift, left click and left click. This should highlight them in orange to allow you to select them. Once we've done this, we're going to press S for scale. And you can now see we're scaling in every direction, but that's not what we want. We want to scale so that our rectangle becomes an octagon. It becomes rounder in shape. So I'm going to press Shift and Z to lock it only to the X and Y axis. Like so. And now we have a very beautiful octagon. Here we go. Once we've done this, I'm going to go into face mode by pressing 3. I'm going to select the top 4 faces of my soon-to-be barrel and my bottom 4 faces as well. The reason for this is I want my top and my bottom to be symmetrical, and even though you could do automated processes later, it's easier to do it like this. So yeah. So, all right, sorry, I'm just getting some questions in from the chat. Somebody's Alt doesn't work. So are you holding down Alt, making sure that you're holding down Alt and selecting? Yeah, so just taking again. With these 2 edge loops selected, I'm going to press S, Shift, Z. So S for scale, Shift Z to exclude the Z axis from my scale. I'm going to scale it out. That should be enough. Just enough. All right. Yes. All right, perfect. Don't be annoyed that you're not following along. Everybody has to start somewhere, and I didn't know what I was doing when I started. Before I became a 3D artist, I worked at a graveyard. I was burying people. which is very, like, a bit controversial, but very lucrative. That's how I paid for this. So, yeah. Perfect. All right. So once we've scaled it out, press 3, face mode. Gonna select top 4 faces and bottom 4 faces. And now I'm gonna press I on my keyboard for inset. This will create a new face loop around the selection and lock that face loops and our selection scale to only fit inside our selection. So I'm gonna go for a little bit of a cartoony barrel today, so I'm gonna make mine a little bit wider than you would expect. Janusha, S, Shift, Z, and scale out. All right. So here we now are going to create what's called the lip of the barrel. That's the little inset before you get the lid. Of course, that's not actually there on real barrels because they're watertight, but we're going to create it just so, you know, it looks like a barrel the way we think barrels look, not the way they actually look, because that's half 3D work. So I'm going to create an inset on this, and instead of using the inset function, I'm going to use the extrude function. So I'm going to press E on my keyboard, and this will extrude. But right now, what is happening is it's extruding both the top and the bottom in the same direction. And I don't want that. I want them to extrude towards each other. So instead of just going with what it is the extrusion thinks we want, we're going to press E, S, Z. So we're E to extrude, S to scale, and then Z to lock it to the Z axis. And now, instead of going away from each other, they can, of course, see? They're going to go towards each other when I scale them towards each other, or when I scale them down. So it means that the top and the bottom of my barrel is symmetrical. All right. And now we are going to, in reverse or in the same order, we're going to repeat this process. So we're going to press I to inset. This will create the face loop around our selection. I'm not making a very big one here, just small enough to be noticeable. Oh, like that. And then I'm going to press E, S, Z and scale upward. Now it doesn't need to be in line with the rest of the barrel. It just needs to be further up than the gap between the lip and the lid. All right. There we go. So far, that's going good. That's going well. Yeah. So I'm being asked, how old was I when I decided to become a 3D artist? Somebody's asking me online. I was 24 before I decided to become a 3D artist. Before that, I started out my professional career being a swimming instructor at 13. And then I switched from that to running a concert place. Switched from that to becoming a sailor. I have a traditional sailor's education with like sailing ships and rigs and ropes and all that stuff. Great fun. Went from that to daycare, worked in daycare for special needs kids. And then from that to a graveyard. And from that into becoming a 3D artist.
You just went complete.
Oh, I
opposite,
went everywhere.
taking care of kids and then putting people in the dirt.
Oh, it's great fun working at a graveyard. not so. First of all, you're dealing with something fairly morbid, but everybody in the process are very, very happy people. And a lot of the time you meet people when they're at their most vulnerable, and they're very, very, very pleasant to be around, and they just want somebody to talk to. And it's in your contract that if somebody wants to talk to you, throw everything you have in your hands and talk. I don't think that counts if you're carrying a coffin or if you are in the middle of burying somebody, but still, it was in the contract. All right. So this is the lid of our barrel. But of course, this looks more like a modern day oil drum than a cartoony styled barrel. So we need to start adding some curvature to it. And for that, we're going to go back to our old friend, loop cut. This time, we're going to add a loop cut on the, what's it called? The horizontal edge, like so. All right. Oh, somebody's asking me how I made the rim thingy. Let me just... Oh, I've not sat in Blender for so long. So the way I made the rim thingy, I've selected the top 4 faces with face mode. I pressed I on my keyboard for inset. Yeah, all right. And then I pressed E as set to make the inset here. All right. Gonna take Jakob's later. All right. So, with this horizontal loop cut made, oh, sorry. Just gonna get rid of this. Let me repeat. I'm going to activate my loop cut tool. I'm gonna pull it into my mesh, and then you should be able to see a loop cut highlighted in the middle. I'm just gonna make that. Press W to get back to selection mode. And from here, I'm gonna press S and scale out. And you can do this one fairly extreme, depending on how cartoony you want your result to be, because we are going to average it out in just a second. Just making sure everybody's with us. All right. I'm gonna make mine fairly cartoony, fairly big. There we go. And after this, I'm gonna hold down Control on my keyboard. I'm gonna press B, and at first this looks like it doesn't do anything. Once I start moving my mouse, this has added what's called a bevel. What a bevel does is it takes your selection and it averages out the values between it. So if you have a face loop or an edge loop like we had, it was looking at the edges coming into it, and it makes a face loop where the edge is based on the average of those edges. So I can then decide how much I want my bevel to control, and if I want extra segments on it, I can scroll on my scroll wheel, and this will just add extra levels to it so we can get this lovely round shape. Don't go too crazy because that will likely crash a computer or two, especially if you're sitting on a laptop. I think I'm gonna go for, yeah, around about 3 segments like this. Let's just move this one over here. If you have already left-clicked and not added the amount of segments that you wanted, down in the left-hand side of your 3D viewport, there is the bevel menu. You can open this up, and then we can actually change all the things we just did. All right. So here we can see I have 4 segments on mine. That's what I'm going with today. I can take a few steps back. So just to reiterate what we just did, I had my loop cut selected in edge mode. I pressed S to scale, and I scaled it out, like so. And then I pressed Control B to bevel. This, of course, remembers my settings. There you go. Oh. There we go. And that is a barrel. Now, there's a lot of settings in here, but most of the time you just make a bevel to either round shapes out or to highlight corners, and we will get into that highlight later. So this is a great place to be. There we go. Just letting everybody catch up. How are you guys doing today? Good. Lovely. I just see a lot of people asking questions. So I saw Jakub Kosik, I'm probably butchering that, who asked how long time did it take to become a professional? Well, it's a bit of a difficult question to answer because when I graduated, I was hired on at a games company pretty much day one, but then Corona hit. And that game company went down and bankrupt. And then it was Corona, so nobody was hiring. I did a lot of freelance work on some series, some pilots, some things like that. So I was pretty much professional from day one, if not earlier, because I taught, as you can tell now, I taught a lot. I started teaching 3D printing when I was still a student here. So I was pretty much a professional while I was going here. Okay. Wait a second, Christian, can you close that window? That is a lot of construction noise coming in through that. So I was a professional from even before I graduated. I did internships. I did a whole lot of like fun projects on the side together with other people, making games, working with programmers, working with directors. So it's yeah. A lot of people tend to find their way into the industry while they go to the school. Because this is something we love. There's a bit of truth to this is a passion thing. So there's a lot of noise coming from over there. Yeah. Yeah. So, Bowie, you're being very loud. You're being very loud. It's all right. So, 9 barrel and won't pick all the sides. Okay, so Jasmine at home is having some issues. You've had the line going through your barrel. If you hold Alt down, just gonna do there. Alt will select, Alt and left clicking on things will select loops of things. So that should select your face around. Then scale out, Control and B for bevel. Like so. So, oh God. Did you prompt somebody to ask this question?
I dared anyone to ask the question of which one is the coolest. And somebody took the bait.
Yeah, somebody did. All right, so Christian baited the home chat into asking me what is the difference between a dragon and a wyvern. For those of you who are nerds, we all know that there's dragons and there's wyverns, except there's not. Tolkien started the... This is a big point for me. Tolkien started the elitism of what is dragons and what isn't dragons, and it's just not true. The only literary thing that defines a dragon is it's important for the story. So it can have any number of wings, any number of legs, any number of tails, heads, whatever. If it's important to the story, it's a dragon. That's the main literary and media presence dragons have. I am very much also a nerd. I love this stuff. Yes? Yes?
And we need to sculpting in
ZBrush?
ZBrush.
Yes.
For example, I sculpting in Blender.
Yes, all right, so...
I feel that is my opinion.
Yeah. No, that is a perfectly valid question. So we are having a question that is, why do we sculpt in ZBrush and not in Blender? So ZBrush is a specialist software, which means it can do sculpting really, really, really well. Everything else, it's not really good at.
After when you finish the sculpture, you need to retrofology
Yes.
for game.
Yes, but you need to do that if you sculpt in Blender as well.
In my opinion, in that part to work, you don't import if are really sculpting, but because you need to have many, no many.
You need to have many polygons.
No many
Yes,
polygons,
so I get what you're saying, but the thing is, ZBrush is better.
Okay.
The tools, the feel of the tools, that's an individual thing. That's from person to person. But at a purely software level, I have stress tested Blender sculpting on production machines, and it has about 1/10 of the capability that ZBrush has. If I go up to a few million polygons in Blender, it's gonna start lagging even in sculpting mode. It might be 10 million, but I can very easily get up to 100 million in ZBrush without losing performance. So it's simply a specialized tool versus a non-specialized tool. And Blender is a generalist tool. It can do everything, but it doesn't necessarily do everything well.
You can use ZBrush.
Yes, just simply because it will speed things up. Different tool. You can of course do things in Blender. There's nobody telling you not to. But when you get into the industry and time is money, and that's what the higher ups are doing, they're gonna look at ZBrush and go, that's very little money to pay for extra or for our workers to work faster.
I know for the money for the program because the open source.
Yeah.
I think the last year Blender in the scouts to Blender grow up very.
It's getting better, but so is ZBrush. So Blender.
You can.
But yeah, but retopologizing inside Blender isn't. It's okay. It's great. But there are specialist softwares that will do it better. Like even if you just want to do retopology, you have the tablet app called Cozy Blanket, and that will do retopology and unwrap, but only that. You can't sculpt in it. You can't do anything else. You can just do that. So as soon as you get a software that's specialized, it will be better than Blender or Maya or Max or what is it called? Cinema 4D, Rhino. Because those are generalist softwares, they will never be as good as specialist softwares. So, no problem. All right. So, yeah. All right. So, we have created the bulge of our barrel. And now we want to create the bands. So those metal bands running around the barrel, we should create those so that they are, you know, pretty to look at and nice to have. So I'm going to hold down Alt. I'm going to select one of my face loops or edge loops that go along the third of the top of the barrel. I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom one by holding down Alt and Shift. And this will select top and bottom, like so. And then I'm going to bevel these again. Now I don't want segments on these because they're just going to be bands. They don't need bevels yet. But for now, this is a very good place to start. So, after having those beveled, we are going to duplicate them. So press Shift and D. This will create duplications of your selected faces. And if you've moved them out like I have, and you don't want them to be moved out, right-click, and they'll snap back into place. Because now we're gonna extrude, we're not gonna extrude, we're gonna scale them out. So S, Shift, Set, and scale out on the X and the Y axis, like so. This will create a face loop that is outside of our barrel, so it'll create that extra bit of depth, that extra bit of shape, even work a little bit on our silhouette, and will just, in general, help us a lot. But these face loops don't have tops or bottoms, which we want to add into them. So, holding down Alt and Shift, we're going to go to our face loops and select the top and bottom of the bands. All right. Once we've done this, we're going to press E and S to make an extrude and scale it inwards. You are welcome to press Shift Z to not scale on the Z axis. I prefer having this version of it. And this is a thing I see a lot of beginners do. Don't worry too much about getting it like precisely correct with the surface of the barrel, because you're going to get exactly the same result by just penetrating the barrel with the bands. So if I go into my barrel here, you can see my bands are now inside it. This is going to create the same result. It's going to look the same as if we had it matching up one-to-one. Yep. Oh, which one? Oh, Shift D. Yes, Shift D to duplicate, and then right-click to reset their size, place. Alt and double-click? And then top, bottom edges of each band, and extrude inwards. All right, all right, all right, all right. So, in theory, this would be a barrel ready for a computer game. It's low poly enough, but it has all the details that a computer game would need. We can take this steps further, create even more detail on it, and we will do that. But first, we need to add more bevels to it. S, Shift, Z. So, as you might see right now, some of our faces are disappearing into each other because they're catching light at the exact same angle. The way we handle this in 3D is we create bevels. And the reason for that is inside 3D, any two faces that meet each other will be sharper than anything in real life. And most things, if you look at a table, they have this little bevel that will catch light and highlight the corner of it, which makes it a lot easier to see. Now, we don't have that in 3D because this is all math and code and numbers. So a 90-degree angle is sharper than any knife that's ever existed in real life. So I'm going to go back into my edit mode. I know that I want to bevel the lid. I want to bevel the inside of the lip. So I'm holding down Alt and Shift and then selecting around. I want to bevel my bands like so. And I want to do the same thing on my bottom. Whoop. Like so. Yep, we will pause, let everybody select everything. Stina Seppel is asking, my metal bands look uneven. Ones are upwards, others are inwards. Yes, so what you have done is when you've scaled them, instead of scaling them only on the X and Y axis, you have scaled them on all axes. So that means they're going towards the center of your selection. To fix that, you can either go into face mode, select one face loop at a time by holding down Alt and left clicking. Press S, Z, and pull your mouse cursor into the middle. This will flatten things out. Extrude inwards. It's not an extrude, it's an inset. So I on the keyboard, that is the inset. So we have extrude and we have insets, and this pressing I on our keyboard is the inset, and extruding is E. Two different functions. Yep. All right. Oop. I'm in face mode. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. So it looks like everybody is getting here. Yes.
Since there's many people probably using different multiple programs,
Yes.
there's some kind of like, for example, an option in Unreal. They will tell you if you are familiar with 3D Max, you could use the same.
You can. So in Blender, if you look at that quick startup screen, you can see your shortcuts where it says Blender. You can actually set that to industry standard, but it's weird. As a person who learned Maya first and then went to Blender later because of work, it's weird sitting in Blender with Maya shortcuts because they don't work exactly the same. It's not a one-to-one. My biggest tip would be 3D doesn't change. Doesn't matter what software you're in, 3D is 3D. The principles of how you model things, how you create things, you're using scale, rotation, and movement, you're extruding, insetting, deleting things, duplicating things. All these methods don't change. It's just the hotkeys. So if you already know a language, you just need to learn the dialect. And when you get into that type of mindset, it becomes very easy to learn a new 3D software and the new hotkeys. It becomes a matter of weeks and not a matter of months. So
you advise to adapt to it how it is, how they create.
yes, it's instead of learning process, so do this, then do this, then do this, then do this to create this specific object. Learn, well, when I model, I need to use extrudes to create extra bits of geometry for me. I need to use loop cuts to create loops around that allow me to deform the shape in ways. So it's a lot more about learning the methodology of it than actually learning the processes, because the processes are less important. They change from person to person and are not standardized, but the outcome and the method will be standardized. So, and like there is an industry standard. It's Autodesk Maya. Last census I saw, it was 86% of the industry uses it. More and more companies are looking for alternatives because nobody likes Autodesk, but it's still the standard. It's still what everybody uses. So it's a bit difficult to argue against not learning it, or at the very least not being able to apply your skills from any 3D software to Maya, because it is likely the software you will be working at a studio. So yeah. I did a count with some students, I think a year and a half ago, where they asked me how many softwares do I know. I was like, 3D softwares or just softwares in general? Do I select, or is the Office pack with or not? And and they said 3D software, and we got to, I think, 36 at that point. And that's 36 softwares where I could within a week become professional or like industry standard in that software. And I've learned 3 software since. So it's any software that comes out. If you can get your hands on it, try it out because it's fun. It's wonderful to learn new things, new ways of working with things. So, yep. All right. It looks like people are getting into it and are about caught up. Okay. So, with all of our edges that we want to be more visible selected, we're going to press Control B to bevel them, but I don't want to add a lot of bevel, just want to add a little bit of bevel, something to catch light. This is not supposed to be a feature, it's supposed to highlight what we already have. So if I switch out of edit mode by pressing Tab, you can now see the band here has this little extra tone of light to differentiate the front from the top, and so does my lid. It no longer disappears into the lip, it has a little extra highlight. There we go. So that allows us to very quickly add a bit more fidelity as well as readability to our objects, because we might know what our barrel is supposed to look like, but does the viewer who hasn't made it, do they understand? Because if that's the whole point, we're creating something for people to look at, they have to be able to read what it is we're doing, so we have to enhance the readability of our models as much as possible. All right, let us add some more detail to this bad boy. I like the blend. Johan Anderson at home is asking if I like the bevel modifier. I do, but then I need to model specifically to use it. So that is adding no bevels at all at any other point, and then having them unified across an object entirely. It's a stylization choice. It's not a workflow thing. Well, it is a workflow thing, but it's only for specific workflows. All right. So, like I said, this is very good for a game, but we might want to add a bit more detail to it. To do this, I'm going to press A on my keyboard. This will select everything, or A for all. Now I'm going to right-click on my mouse And this will bring up our edge context menu. And here we can see the subdivide option. This will divide every face into 4 faces. So this gives us a lot of extra geometry to work with. What do you mean? I beveled them. I did not make an effect. My edges are still flat. Yep. So I subdivided everything because now we can see here, oh, there we go. On these flat faces from before, I now have an extra edge, and we are just going to repeat our starting process of scaling these. Remember to pick your bands as well. They are separate pieces of geometry, so they need to be selected separately. We could have, of course, have done this earlier, but I wanted the example of a game-ready model. All right, so with everything on flat faces selected, say edges that are not currently giving us shape will now give us shape. So we are pressing S, Shift, Z, and scaling outward just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. And this point is one of those points where the more time you put into it to get it just right will really pay off in the end. It's tempting to go in and just go, this looks round, but even mine, you see here, these edges are a little bit too sharp right now. So I actually need to extrude or to scale mine a little bit further out. I'm just gonna go slowly, slow increments, because at some point it'll be the right place. And this right place will be individual from barrel to barrel. There you go. And now it's a lot rounder. It's a lot more barrel-y. So, yeah. Okay, letting people noodle with that. Jakub Kosik, I'm sorry for butchering your name once again, is asking, when did I start with 3D? Do I have a specialized school for 3D art? Yes, I went to CADA Trumax back from a long time ago now. And I learned 3D here from knowing absolutely nothing to becoming a fairly competent 3D artist and a decent technical artist within 3 years, and then afterwards perfected both of those things in my professional work, because nobody expects a person coming straight out from school to being a industry ready badass. It takes time, and studios will teach. Yeah. All right. Yep. So this is normally where I will leave off my barrel, but I feel like today I want to add extra details to it. Jasmine Philippe? No, it's not. Not currently. Yes, I want to do something else. I feel like adding extra detail to it. Yeah. All right. So we've rounded out everything. We've made the bands. We've made our bevels. I kind of want to add screws to mine. That would be cool. Adding screws all the way around the band. That would be lovely. So I'm going to press Shift A. Oh, sorry. I've come out of edit mode and into object mode where we started, where we can select things. So pressing Tab on your keyboard will switch this. I'm going to press Shift and A. And under Mesh, I'm going to find the UV sphere. Boop. This is going to create this nice round sphere. and we are going to be using this as a screw. So, all right. Jesus. Everything seems to be going smoothly. Tab. Tab, Shift A. Oh, you double, yeah. So you you go out of this. So Tab, Shift A. There you go. Carlo, no, we do not have night classes. Not currently. We do have a 3D introduction course called 3D Essentials, 3DE, on our website, which me and a bunch of other teachers, as well as industry professionals, have put together for that you can take online at your own leisure. Press Shift Z or Alt Z, Miguel, and that should fix your issue. All right, with this sphere, we're gonna have it selected and we're gonna scale it down so that it has the right size for a bolt. And then I'm gonna move it so it sticks halfway out of my band. Boop. Like so. So this little sphere is going to become a circle of bolts around our barrel. The way we do this is by hitting Tab, going into face mode, pressing 3, and hitting A for all to select everything. And then we have this lovely spin tool. Now this is one of the tools I think Blender got absurdly right because it just works compared to a lot of other 3D softwares that don't. And this will allow you to spin out your sphere as a circle of bolts around your object. Hearts of Hyrule is asking, I can't zoom and pan while moving or scaling an object. Why? Because you're using your mouse to control your zoom and scale, and the other functions have been disabled while you're doing that. So after we have spun our bolt, I would recommend opening up the spin menu and first of all ticking off the little checkbox saying use duplicates and making sure your angle is 360 degrees. As well as you can change the amount of duplicates if you want more or if you want less. As the old adage goes, less is more. And this allows you to add bolts around your bands. Yep. And you can adjust their placement by using the arrows on this little gizmo down here. So after you've spun them out, make sure it's 360 degrees. You can just make the last few tweaks and adjustments by moving them a bit around. Whoop. I think I'm gonna reset mine. Yep. So after that, when I am happy with my spun of bolts, I am going to press A to select every sphere. And then I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate them. And I'm going to move them down so that they are mirrored on the bottom band. All right. With this, I think I am fairly happy. Oh, yep. So, as you can likely see, there are a few of my bolts that are acting weird. They're a bit too far into the, that one's very weird, into the band. So, if we want to correct this quickly, we can hover our mouse over a sphere, press L. Yes, slow down.
That's one thing. Can you also show them the whole copying the balls? Or
Yes, I don't mind. Let's delete this. Sorry if it's going too fast. I'll try and slow down a little bit. All right. So, Shift A, I'm gonna add my sphere. Here we go. I'm going to scale it down to the size I want it to be. And then I'm going to place it on my band so that it goes halfway through. So I want it to penetrate my band just about halfway. I am not being overly precise with this. It's just a neat little detail. It's not a main feature. So all right. I can see orange lines on the wall. All right. Once we have placed the bolt, I'm gonna go back into edit mode by pressing Tab. 3 to go to face mode, and then A to select all. And now I'm gonna go into my spin function. The spin tool out here on your right hand side. Boop. That will bring up this little, I guess that's a quarter of a circle. And hitting either of these pluses and then dragging out will allow you to spin the bolt around your bands. Like so. I think we're gonna say duplicates and 12. Yep. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. Hey, Christian, do you have any questions noted down?
No, not as of right now.
All right.
You're actually quite all right. It's more the technical questions in the chat.
Yep.
But I think we are quite thorough.
All right. Miguel, could you try and go up into the left-hand side of your 3D space and figure out which one of these 4 spheres your viewport is currently set to? It should be this viewport shading solid. This one that's just a big white circle. If that fixes it for you, I hope it does. All right. Okay. Yes. So we'll go over the individual screws again in a second. So don't worry. All right. And all right. So we've created our first spin out of all our spheres. If we want to do any corrections to them before we duplicate them out, we can hold over our mouse on one of the spheres and press L. This will select linked. And this means it'll just select everything that's sort of linked. It does it by something called a UV map. We'll be using one of those in 2 weeks. And then we can move them out so that they sit better and on a object-to-object basis instead of automized functions. This is sort of a thing with a lot of 3D softwares, is that it's really nice to have automized tools that do things for you, but half the time they just don't work. So I am just selecting them, holding my mouse over each sphere, pressing L. This will add to selection, so you automatically, so if you have something selected, deselect it first. And moving them out by pressing G, Shift, Z. And I think we're doing just about. I also don't mind a little bit of error, because human error actually adds a lot of realism to objects. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that. All right. Yes. No, you're not. That's two spheres on top of each other. Try to move it. Yeah. So some of you are likely to have this issue. Your first and last sphere are likely inside each other. So when you select one, it might look like you're only selecting half a sphere. It's because there's two on top of each other. So most of the time, I just delete it, like so. Press X and then delete faces. Boop, and it will be gone. Hearts of Hyrule, if you go up here into your top here, you can see we can switch into shading mode. This should, for you, automatically have X-ray on it, but I've turned mine off because I've been showing things off. So, but else it's, if you want to see things, see through things, it's Alt-Z. This will activate edge or X-ray for you if you want to see the objects inside of objects, like so. Alt-Z. I should probably switch that. Go. So, all right. Bolts. Yeah, so for you people at home, I have a gift. Christian, set up a poll. So, next week we are going to be sculpting dragons, because I like dragons and they're fun to sculpt. What I like to do when creating a dragon is I like to combine two animals, which means you guys get to choose which two animals it will be. The way we're going to do this is Christian's going to note down every suggestion we get, and then we are going to take votes, both online and from people here, onto what two animals we're going to use next week.
Two animals?
Two animals.
Two animals.
Yep. So, yeah. Yep. So write your suggestions, go over and tell my lovely assistant Christian the suggestions, and we will get that poll up. That's like another student. I can't rotate when I'm moving an object. How do I fix that? if you cannot rotate your viewport, you cannot change your viewport except zooming in and out while rotating or scaling or moving objects. It is a general thing because every hotkey on your mouse is tied to something else inside that tool. The spinny thing is not working for me. That's a good question. I'm gonna go buggy next week.
Oh yeah.
Yep. What's up? Are you in? You use the spin tool. It is number 6 from the bottom out on your left-hand side. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Axolotl and lion I like a lot. Yeah. So, just for the last step, everybody, I'm going to select all of my spheres, Shift D to duplicate them, G, Z to move them down. This is the last step we're gonna take today. Yeah. What? Okay, I help. You talk.
You help here as well.
I'll help. You are going to get the lovely Mito talking more about 3D.
Hi, I'm your substitute teacher. This is great. Yeah, what's up?
When I do this type to work, you said you can open that.
We can have him come down
the
to you afterwards if
constraint.
you want. Oh, okay.
That's
Oh, this one?
yeah, because you use a hand. Now you move.
Oh, I'm getting a lesson. This is crazy.
Exactly. You move around the face, and you don't take the only single button, only single rivets.
Oh, you want me to select
Yeah,
one
you
symbol?
you move in front of the face
Right.
from this.
Oh, if it's that selected. All right, we can do that.
You can do the target and move.
Oh.
This is the target.
Oh, this is sick. Wait, I'm learning. This is
No,
crazy.
no. The target are that.
Oh, this one?
Exactly. Oh. Yes, target.
All right.
This. Yeah. Now you
Oh,
can
that's
move.
crazy. Wow. Look at me learning things. This is crazy. All right, thank you. All right, hi, I'm the substitute teacher who don't know. I don't know. I'm talking to the stream, so don't worry.
With that tool, you
Right.
you have the perfectly face to front, and if you move a single,
Right.
move around the face,
Oh,
Okay.
right. Yeah.
around the normal face.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hi. So, substitute teacher. I'm not very used to Blender, so I'm not gonna do anything in Blender. I will talk about something else because that's what I do. All right. So, hi, nice to meet you. I am Mito. I am an animator. I'm a third year student at CADA TrueMags. And I'm doing my thesis right now. Yeah, that's me. How are you guys doing? It's been a while since I've been on camera. We used to, me and Chelva specifically, we used to be on camera a lot, like sitting and chatting, talking about a lot of these different subjects, which is really fun. Wait, let me. Was he done? He was kind of done, right? With still struggling with the button thing of the barrel. All right. He will. He can explain that afterwards. You guys are super awesome. I take an online education daily, and this is so good teaching. I will let him know. Is he doing great? I'm really been paying attention because we have a lot of people physically as well. So I'm kind of like I'm trying to walk around and help everyone. So now, because he was helping with something else, then I'm taking over here. Everything was so fast. Yeah, that's true. It's like when it comes to 3D, thankfully for you guys, you can re-watch the stream and be able to see what's going on, like at your own pace as well, if you don't want to like watch it live at the same time. But here physically, it's like we have a lot of people trying to follow along, and it's like we only have a couple of hours to go through everything at once, right? While we also want to have a bit of time to talk about, or if anyone has any questions regarding anything else other than what we're sitting and doing at the time. My brain is still buffering. No, I get it. Trust me, I get it. Especially with Blender because it has a lot of key bindings, so it can be very confusing if you have to like remember everything at once. So don't worry, it's very normal. You're not alone.
Ja, det synes jeg også. Det bliver lige gerne til næste år.
Could we upload our results somewhere? It would be fun to see people's results. Good question. So we have a Discord. TrueMax, CADA TrueMax Discord specifically, where all the students and other people outside are in that server where you can come and talk and chat. And we've specifically made a channel that is for when people are in the 3D bootcamp, they can afterwards go and share it with everyone and show off what they've done. So you guys should definitely join that. I can, yo, IT guy.
Yeah.
Can you post the link to our Discord in chat?
I've already done it.
Oh, all right. Well, oh wait, he did post it. Oh, this is great.
I'll post it again.
Yeah, might as well. All right. So yeah. You should definitely go and share that. That would be very fun.
All right. So we are done with the modeling for today. Oh,
You're not on.
Muted.
He's muted. Don't worry.
We are done with the modeling for today, but we do have time in the schedule planned for eventualities like this, which are questions and answers. So this is generally if you have questions about 3D, if you have questions about the school, questions about the industry, stuff like that, we would love to answer them. You can also ask us questions about other things, but we're only really qualified to talk about the 3D things, so do so at your own risk.
Yes.
Want to talk about dragons?
Under what tab can I share my 3D model in the Discord? So we have a channel called 3D Bootcamp, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check on my phone, because I am on it. But there should be a specific chat that is for sharing. It is called... Yeah, all right. It's just called 3D Bootcamp on the Discord. So we would love to have you all come and send in your stuff, share pictures of what you've made. I feel like that's the most fun part about this whole 3D Bootcamp, at least for me, being able to see what everyone's made, especially if people have made, given their barrels some personality. That's always fun. What are we doing polls about right now? I haven't been paying attention. Can we find you, Mr. Substitute, on socials and see your work? Oh God, the pressure. You can. I haven't shared all my newest stuff, but I have an art station. Let me find that. Shameless plug, I guess. So on my art station, I have posted some of my work where you can see what I've made. I specifically, again, I do mostly animation. I also like other things, but that's like my go-to at least. So yeah. Oh shit, I'm not signed in. Oh, that's a problem. Wait, no, I can. I got you guys. I will do it on my phone because this is not budget at all. It is all good. Wait, actually, Christian, can you send my art station in chat?
Oh, absolutely.
They listen. It wasn't me. All right, so I'm talking to people outside. They were asking. They were asking to see my work. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I can self plug. It's all good. But yeah. Yes.
So what's your middle last name? We need that.
No, you don't. Oh wait. Wait. It's on ArtStation. You can search for Mito for short.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One word. He will send a link in chat in a bit. One thing about this is really annoying because when there's a poll up, I can't see what's going on in chat. So if you guys have said anything, I can't see it. All right, is it fun to be at the school in person? I mean, being able to sit in a classroom and feel the vibe of everyone around you working on things is really motivating, first of all, in my opinion, and really fun to be able to walk around and see what everyone's doing. So I would definitely say that it's fun, personally, at least. Question to $1 million. Does Yoda count as a gremlin? Oh, that's good. That's a good question. No. Oh, wait, you're mixing up. Is it for next week? Is that what's going on? Wait, I'm gonna do this. Wow, I'm in focus. This is crazy. Do you think it's hard to get to the 3D industry? No, you're all good. Just at some points, I guess, and other points, no. I think it's mostly about your drive and interest for the subject. You being able to show off that you're interested in what you're doing, sharing your work and stuff, grabs a lot of attention in the industry, which will allow you to get a job a lot easier. Also depends on what kind of industry you want to get into, because there are like a ton of different ones. Obviously, you can work with games, you can work with movies, ads, architecture, whatever you want to work with, right? So obviously it's different from the different things. No, but I definitely think there are plenty of opportunities for you to get into the industry and get a job at cool places. I also feel like when it comes to this 3D stuff, it's kind of a passion project in a sense of you're doing this also because you find it really fun. Well, I guess that's the case for any type of job, right? You generally wouldn't want to do a job that you don't find fun to some extent. But it's a hobby at the same time as a job, so you're already really passionate about it, right? And yeah, is it possible to see the curriculum for the CADA education. Yeah, so you can see it at our website, I'm pretty sure. Again, I can't type in chat, but Christian, can you send the link to the website?
Just the website?
Yeah, just the website. On the website, there should be a place where you can see the curriculum and see everything that you go through. Since it's 7 semesters, each semester you have different things, obviously. Usually the first couple of semesters are mostly introduction to a lot of these different things that you do in the industry. But everything should be on the website. You just have to look around a bit. Mr. Substitute, I love that. That's my name now. This is sick. If you were starting your art station to get exposure for your art in 2023, would you? In regards to the whole AI stealing art right now, would you worry about it? I think ArtStation is still a really good medium for people to share work, especially when you want to get into it. Highly depending on the people. If you've already got a following, you have some leeway to like kind of like give it a break, I guess, but it's a really good medium to start off having an online portfolio for people to see. Right now, probably one of the better ones, or the best ones still. I don't really know that many alternatives other than other social media, but they aren't as impactful when it comes to art, at least personally. AI is one heck of a subject. With everything that happened on ArtStation about the AI things, that's like, I don't know, I get it, it's kind of sad to see as 3D artists things like that being abused, I guess, but it's also, I don't know, it's interesting. It's an interesting subject. I don't really know what to. I personally just think that ArtStation, at least as newer people, me included, since I'm not in the industry yet, is a really good tool for me to use as an online portfolio. I'm not too worried about it right now. AI is a cool tool. I think we just have to learn how to use it correctly. Tech guy's really having fun with those polls. Yeah, he is. I can barely see chat because of all those polls, because it blocks half of chat when a poll is going, which is kind of annoying. But do we have to share our work with the barrel? I would love to see your work. Please do. Join the Discord. It's further up in the chat if you didn't see it. Join it. Share it in 3D Bootcamp. Stop making polls. I can't see chat. Wait, are we still doing like, is it because we're not finding a result? Tech guy is just going crazy.
You're on your mic? Is my mic on? I didn't press the button.
Is your mic on?
I don't think so. Am I on?
No, you're not on now.
I'm on. I haven't pressed it.
Would have been funny. Wait, can I vote as well? Wait, what's this vote for?
I don't mind. It's there. For ZBrush.
Are we still doing the ZBrush thing?
Yeah, but we're kind of like weaving out. Yeah. So we were looking at the
higher one. I'm the guy who's like sitting right across the other one.
IT guy.
Yeah, I'm the IT guy. Hi, I'm Christian. But we are trying to figure out what animals we're gonna use for ZBrush when we're gonna make the dragon. So we're gonna have like 2 animals that we're gonna have. But right now they've like voted, and then we're trying to do like.
Hold up, a centipede would be cool. I can't vote.
Yeah,
Damn.
you can vote. You're not allowed. Me too.
Fuck. I mean, swearing is. I don't know. Is Yoda considered a herbivore or a carnivore? Why are you guys going crazy with these Yoda things? Alright. Can I ask if there's any 3D schools in Jutland? I think there is one.
Yes.
2.
I have my own.
2.
Okay. So that I
But you should come to CADA Trumax instead. We have it better. We get the better results. I swear it's worth it. Another plug. I think they're taking the winners for the second round. Oh, okay. Hello. Oh wait, you said hi, IT guy. Oh, now I feel it. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, come on, I have fans.
Oh, I'm
too,
sorry.
alright?
Right, he's saying he has fans as well.
We will be using ZBrush for mini, but that is because this whole thing is set up so that it's only free software.
Yes. Do you guys have any other questions that I can answer? If you have any school questions as well, because since I'm a student, these polls, I want to vote.
Then use your phone.
Someone wants me to answer a question. Is it the Yoda thing? The Gremlin thing? Is it the Gremlin Yoda thing? I don't know. What's considered a Gremlin? I don't know. All right, so there was a question with, is Yoda, what was it? Is Yoda a Gremlin? Does Yoda count as a Gremlin? What's the definition of a Gremlin? I don't know. What is the definition of a Gremlin? I guess. You could call it, yeah. All right, Yoda's a Gremlin. Yeah, no, it's confirmed. All right, that's sick. But then, yeah, if you have any questions related that I can't see right now, if anything is actually going on. But I'm a third year student, sixth semester, doing my thesis right now. I do animation. I really like animation. And yeah. Oh, he did post my outstation. Okay, yeah. Other, what's going on in chat? I need, oh, there we go. All right. Honestly, CADA would be rocking if you consider the education online for people in other places in the country. I can't say much on that since I'm a student and I don't have any information on that, but I agree that would be very cool. Though I think the school is also focusing a lot on the fact that you can come together as a class and get the type of in-house bond in that sense, and also get the feeling of production when you're in a company. Because a lot of the times we do group work and bigger projects. Those projects including a lot of people from the class. So when you're kind of sitting in a production together, having to communicate across like room and stuff with people, that's also a really good experience. And really fun being able to come into a class every day and be motivated by the people around you to see what's going on, right? Because I'm usually, like, a lot of the times we don't just sit and just work for 6 hours straight constantly, because obviously your brain needs a break at times. So I really like personally going around talking to everyone and seeing all their work, what they're working on. The school also focuses a lot on collaboration or like bonding between classes or between classes, like between years, because each year we take in one class, right? But since even though I'm a third year student, I still talk like a lot with the first year students and second year students because it's really fun to get to know everyone and see what they do. And later on, when you get into the industry, you will have a lot of friends that you can, that you know that it's nice to work with. I think that's one of the reasons why the school also prioritizes a lot on the fact that they want it to be physical rather than online. All right, I see the chat now. Wow, this is great. How's a usual school, usual day in the school? All right, so we meet in at 9. Usually school is from 9 to 3. Depending on what semester you're on, because my semester is very different from the other semesters at this point. But usually it's you come in, you have a teacher, you have certain hours of theory or like introduction to new programs or new techniques and stuff like that. And then usually we also get some time to practice these or practice them during the learning or the theory of the teacher. We go through a lot of different learning things since there are a lot of different subjects in 3D, like a lot. But they teach us a lot of different things. We have a break at like 12, like lunch break and stuff. And then either we usually come back to more theory, or we get to work on some projects ourselves that we do. For me personally, my semester now is different since I'm on doing my thesis. I'm making a game with 2 of my classmates. So I meet in, I sit and jam, listen to music, and talk with my groupmates about what the plan is for today. And then usually we either sit, depending on what we have to make, if we have to do some game design and stuff, we sit and talk and plan out a lot of different things. Otherwise, I sit, put on my headphones, I jam to some sick beats, I don't know, and then I just sit and animate. I'm doing only animation right now. That's like what my day usually consists of right now. All right. Can I ask you how you finance your education? Did you work first? All right. So in my case, I finished, what do you call it in Denmark? Gymnasium. And then I had 1 year off to just work. And then I got some money from that. And then at the education, we also get SU. So I get the full SU. And then I also take an SU loan to afford it. And then on the side, I have a small job that I also work with, specifically marketing, where I earn some money. And that allows me to have some extra stuff on the side for me to live off of and some personal interests and all that stuff. But usually, SU takes most of the load from what you have to pay. So yeah. How do we can't vote? It's sad. Yeah, I know. How do you do your thesis? So basically, I have till January. Oh, no, not January.
June.
I have till May.
Oh yeah, last week of May.
Yeah. So I have till May to make like a personal project, I guess. In this case, I'm working together with 2 of my classmates, and we're making a point-and-click adventure game with dwarves. Yeah. That's what's going on in my life, and I'm just doing a lot of animation for that, which is very fun.
Steinist, what file format would be good to use to export barrels? It depends on what you're going to use them for. So, OBJ FPX is the standard transferring between softwares. That's what you get the best amount of 3D information with, your unwraps and your different settings and stuff like that. But if you're going in for 3D print, STL.
What he said.
We have the last 4 contestants of what the animal is going to be. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Wait, for the votes or?
Yeah. So ZBrush is not difficult. It's a question of learning how ZBrush's UI works, which is difficult because that's the worst part of the program, and getting used to the brushes. So as you will see next week, you and me guys will have exactly the same brushes, but my result will be different. The only reason my result is different is because I know what the brushes do. I know how hard to press. I know how long to pull a stroke and stuff like that for them to do exactly what I want, and that's just not muscle memoried into you guys yet. But practice will do that very quickly.
Yes, and ZBrush is very fun. What is this question?
What are your thoughts on the animation workshop? They're great. They're animators. They're things I don't like to do.
I like to do
animation. I like to. I have a lot of friends.
Wait, what's it called? The animation workshop?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
It's Vivo.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
They're fine. They're good. They're great fun. I love the students.
I don't know anything about Vivo other than that they make cool animators.
Yeah.
That's about it.
They can't hold their liquor though.
Oh. Subject. So do we need drawing skills to be good at making things in 3D? I started at the school. I can't draw for a beat at all. Like, I'm really bad at drawing. I was always interested in drawing and I always wanted to draw, but I never got good at it. So I can do stickman. That's pretty cool. And now I do 3D on a daily basis and it's going great.
Yeah. Miso is definitely a wonderful example to have.
Thank you. I saw earlier that you can submit your art during boot camp and have a chance of winning prizes. Can you explain that a little? I actually don't think we are doing that right now. We used to do that. Don't quote me on it, but
Well,
I don't think we're doing it for now.
I think right now that's not really our department.
Yeah.
We will get back to you next week with an answer on that one. But yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your insight, Mr. Substitute. Thank you.
What is your best tips for learning animation? Looking at people and animating balls. It sounds super weird. Animating the bouncing ball is the basics for everything. It is your your foot moving up and down. It's your hip moving back and forth. It's all these things. It's the bouncing ball, learning the 12 principles of animation. It's the one thing that hasn't changed in animation for 100 years. It's so weird to be able to say that because it's such a new field.
Yeah.
But animation hasn't changed. 2D animation and 3D animation are the same principles. It's just different tools. But just like having a good pencil will not make you good at drawing. Having a 3D software or a pencil to like 2D animate will not. Oh yes, thank you. See you next time. See you next time. Looking forward to seeing it.
See you. You guys should come physically. It's cool. No.
Yeah. So 3D animation is animation. The principles are the same.
Yeah.
As long as you know the principles and you're following the principles, your animation will look great.
The thing I did for when I got interested in animation, before we did animation, I wasn't interested at all. I didn't want to do animation. And then I tried it. I sat down. We were being taught animation at school. But we did our first bouncing ball and I was like, hold up, this is fun. And then after that, I just went on like a rampage of animation and just did so much stuff. And I looked at videos, like I found a lot of cool YouTubers that also did animation. I found a lot of like inspirational videos that motivated me to do animation. And what did we get?
Owl and praying mantis.
That's fun. Owl and praying mantis. That's sick. But yeah, honestly,
yeah, we can do that.
Practice the principles
I got a good idea.
Like bouncing ball. Have a character try to make them stand up. Try to get the weight correctly, because when it comes to animation is a lot about weight. Because if you get the weight wrong, it just looks off.
Yeah. Chris, that's a S-Z-T, I don't know how to pronounce that. Christian Labas is asking, how do you apply from a different country? You can apply from a different country. You can even get the Danish education stipend if you're from a different country within EU. And I think there's a stipulation with you need to work 10 hours a week to get it, but then you get the stipend after that. You also get extra support and stuff like that. So you just apply, and our offices should handle the rest. Do we teach concept art? So far we're teaching the theory of concept art, but we just hired on the wow, that's mean. The old character and animator from both Disney and Pixar, Lawrence Marvitt, and he's going to be teaching drawing and design and stuff like that. He's so cool. Yeah. He swears a lot.
But it's fun.
By my standard, that's yeah. Do we do 3D modeling or sculpting? Those two are the same thing. You can't have one without the other if you want to use them. Well, you can do modeling. You don't need sculpting to do modeling.
Yeah.
but you do need modeling to sculpt, because a sculpt is useless on its own. You need to do a retop of it. Unless you're 3D printing it, then you don't have to care.
But to ask your question in a less, or answer your question in a less nerdy way, sculpting. Sculpting is fun.
Both. Oh, yeah. I'm going to leave the chat for Mito. Remember to shout out 3DE. I am still the teacher on that one and stuff like that. Cool. So,
did you have time to train and work and practice your arts when you worked before going to school? Like before I started school, I didn't learn anything before I started. So I went into it pretty new and blank. I was mostly so I was working with kids before that in a nursery, which I loved, but it was like, oh, when I saw the school, I came to the open house for the school. I was like, oh, this is it. Like being able to sit and work with this every day as a job and get paid for it. That's some crazy stuff. So I didn't really. I mostly just wanted to leave all of it to when I actually started. And yeah, no, it's going great because you're being taught everything from the beginning. You can be completely new. You can barely have used a PC, but you will still kind of like learn it along the way of doing 3D. So they help a lot with making sure that you can catch up and that you're doing great, even if you're completely new. So I didn't practice before going to school is the answer. Yeah. Do you have 3D printing at the school? Like not as a subject, but we do have a 3D printer, and we're being taught to do cool models and sculpts. So, in theory, I can pretty much just take one of the models that I've made and plop it into the 3D printer and then print it. So, yeah, we do 3D printing, I guess, if you want. It's not something we do for the school curriculum, but it's an option for you to be able to. Do you think there's any age limit to become a 3D artist? No. God, no. I think this is one of the things that is perfect to learn at any age range. In my class, when I started, we had people that were 18 to people that were 45. And the fact that they still wanted to get into this interesting industry and subject when they were 45 is pretty sick. So yeah, no, I don't think there's an age range. To be honest, you could start at any point, and it's still going to be just as fun to learn. We have a lot of people in their 30s and 40s and stuff. I think they've had people older than that as well. Not while I've been studying here, but there have been people. So if you are worried about your age, don't be. Go crazy. Which programs do you use at school? Primarily Maya. So Maya is kind of like Blender. If you guys haven't heard of Maya, Maya is same concept as Blender. It's just another company. It's also the industry standard that you usually use everywhere. And that's like what we usually do. Then we also have a lot of master classes with people from a lot of other companies in other countries. As an example, do you guys know Detective Pikachu? The guy so there's something called rigging in 3D, which is basically you take a 3D model and you give it a skeleton. We had a teacher who made Pikachu, or rigged Pikachu specifically. Like we get a lot of cool people from all over the industry, which is really sick. So in cases like that, a lot of the times other programs are also being introduced to the students, like ZBrush as an example, things like Houdini, Unreal Engine, all these different things. So we're being introduced to a lot of things. Mostly when it comes to 3D, it's not about learning the software, it's about learning the techniques. Because if you know the techniques and that it's a possibility, like possible to do whatever you want, you can always take this and then apply it to another program. It might take like a learning curve to get to know that program, but in theory, the program doesn't really matter because you know the theory and you know the techniques. Now you just need to find the buttons. And for Blender has a lot of buttons, but like mostly hotkeys, which can be very tricky. But usually after a bit, you start to pick up everything. So appreciate your insight. Thanks for today. Great session. Looking forward to next week. Excited to see you next week as well. And appreciate it. And really nice questions as well. Really appreciate it. Do you think it applies overall? Like in terms of age? I think so. Like art in general is very open, I think, especially the communities. There are always people to help you learn, no matter what level you are, or age range. I think it's probably one of the most comforting communities that I've seen because everyone's always there to support you or give you feedback, critique, all these different things. So I also think it applies to other types of art, such as concept art. If that was the question, I don't remember if I said anything else and I'm just like talking and it doesn't make sense. But if that was the case, then yes. Nice. So if you learn Blender, you can do Maya. Yeah. No, exactly. So since we mostly use Maya, we don't use Blender at all in school right now. We were never taught Blender, but the fact that I've been in Maya for many years now at this point, since I've been at the school for 3 years. The fact that I can just sit down with Blender for a week and then pretty much being at the same level as I would be in other programs, that kind of shows you, oh, it's not about the program. You kind of just have to find the buttons, which can be tedious at times, but it's also a really satisfying feeling to be able to learn all these different programs and still know what you're doing. At first, it might be a bit frustrating because everything's confusing, but yeah. Thanks for today. Yeah, have a nice day as well. Thank you for coming.
Hello.
Thank you. But yeah, exactly. Thanks for today. Really appreciate you guys coming by and asking all the questions. It's very fun. I usually don't sit in the seat a lot. Usually it's just Chelfe. But you're doing great. Thank you. You're doing great, honey. IT guy said I'm doing great. Wow, thanks. Do you have a mic on? Oh, you don't?
I don't.
Wait, join me.
Should I?
Yeah, why not?
Just gonna pop in.
Might as well.
Awesome. This is gonna be my way of trying my Twitch career, or sorry,
yeah.
YouTube career, or
Yeah, let's go.
there we go.
I'm interested to learn more and motivated for next sessions. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah. Also, it's gonna be a praying mantis and an owl combined
Dude, that's
together
gonna be so
in a
sick.
dragon. It's gonna be absolutely
That's gonna
sick.
be cool. Also, it's ZBrush. Like
Feathers?
No. Oh well, that's a different thing. But no, just in general, ZBrush is just so fun to sit with. Imagine you getting like a big piece of clay, but you're never gonna run out. Yeah, no, that's about it. Actually,
I really get you because like I also find like just sitting in ZBrush is like super meditating.
right. Yeah.
And I was just like, so usually I would spend like before I became a 3D artist, usually my Sundays would be like spending it like super hungover. But now like my like perfect Sunday is just like, you know, sitting at home with a podcast, some good music, like maybe some lo-fi kind of thing going on. And then just sitting there just like sculpting away, just like in your own little bubble, and then just like Sunday gone.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, ZBrush is awesome to sit in. It's a very fun program.
That's good. It's good.
So hope to see you guys next week as well.
They are, of course.
Also, shout out or like plug. I don't know. So we are doing something called 3DE, which stands for 3D Essentials, which is a course that we sell where you basically kind of like what we did today, but just like on steroids. So you get a lot more guidance. You get private sessions with teachers where you can ask a lot of questions. You get invited to our Discord with specific channels where people from the 3DE course can come and talk to people, share their stuff, and talk to the teacher. And yeah, so basically that course goes through a lot of different subjects, such as modeling, animation,
rigging, sculpting, texturing,
Right.
the whole 9 yards. So it's really just like a great, just like entry point to really just like get into it.
Yeah.
And also, if you live in Denmark or in Copenhagen generally, you can actually use that as your portfolio.
Oh yeah.
As someone as for me, because I started out with nothing, I came and with my portfolio it was just like drawing and photography, and that was like the way that I got in. But I feel like it was. I feel like 3D would have been such a great addition for me to just like utilize because it gives you like the foundation of 3D. So
Yeah, it's a really good introduction.
see, we should start a YouTube channel together. Should we just like drop out of school and
No,
become?
don't say no.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Or
Yeah, go subscribe to our, follow us on all our social medias. No,
yeah, we are.
No, but so yeah, no, you should definitely check out 3D. It's on our website, right?
Yes, it's on the website. I am the teacher of it. I have weekly Q&A sessions every Wednesday where I will be available for helping. Of course, I will help if I have time apart from that, but mainly I have every Wednesday time set off where I will be assisting you. Every second Friday, there's feedback sessions where you can bring me absolutely anything you have done, and I will give feedback on it, what works for it, what doesn't work for it, what you should work on, stuff like that. And that tends to be really enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
And also, like a great thing is like pointing out that we work a lot with like when it comes to feedback. It's not just like I don't like it. It's more just like how can you technically advance from this point, and if there's any like common mistakes that you do or that's like
So instead of saying that yellow is ugly, that's useless. It is you added a little bit too much green or brown to your yellow, so it became sort of swampish. And what you're going for with your 80s, 90s interior design is more of a sunflower golden yellow. So you got to up the warmth and remove the green from it, and that will give you a better expression. So we look at what the intention is and make sure that the feedback search or goes into that.
Yes.
Next week's dragons, the result on that is owl and mantis.
Praying mantis.
Yeah. But you can make whatever you want yourself.
Yeah.
It's a very free program. He will mostly just be teaching the techniques and the brushes and understanding of the program. And then after that, you can just go crazy with your imagination.
Yeah. ZBrush is a very powerful creative tool, and it is great fun to go off the rails from what I'm telling you. I will be introducing you to the tools and the workflows that are generally considered the way to go.
Yeah. So definitely check in next week as well. It's going to be very fun. People usually fall in love with ZBrush. I didn't at first, surprisingly, but now...
Oh yeah, now you do.
It's so good. And I ended up buying it, and it's a very expensive program. Thankfully, the program that you will be sitting in is free, so don't worry about that. But the program that I bought, which is the full version, very expensive.
Can I just quickly say something?
So worth it.
So if you become a student, you can actually apply for a 6-month subscription where you pay like $10 every 6 months, and then you actually get the whole package. You get Cinema 4D, you get what is it called, Red Forge as well, and it's just like Red Shifts. I think then there's like a bunch of cool stuff in there, but it's like $10 every 6 months instead of buying a perpetual license, which can be a hefty price tag.
If you're a student.
If you're a student, of
So
course.
do start.
See you in the new semester. All right, guys. We are 5 minutes past 7.
It's fine.
It is fine. It is lovely. But I think you have your girlfriend waiting for you. And you guys should get home. You guys at home should have fun with Blender, but also stretch your back. I know somebody's having bad posture. Have a glass of water. Look at these two.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh, no.
It gives us like 2 seconds, then it's just going to be like, oh.
Yeah, true.
What
Fast question. Yeah, go.
So if you want to pay for it, 3D Code has the best read topology.
But Maya's also very good, which is also expensive unless you're a student. Or there is an app on the iPad, I'm pretty sure iOS, that is called Cozy Blanket. I've heard that's really good for retopologizing.
It's amazing. Retopologizing and unwrapping, it's really good at it.
Yeah, so if you have an iOS device, check that one out, Cozy Blanket. It looks really cool. And honestly, it looks so chill to just sit and retopologize models on that app.
Yeah, it's good.
Which is
it works.
Weird, but
it functions.
All right,
so.
We're gonna go. Thanks for
for
coming,
today.
everyone. Check out our website and our Discord, and please do share all the work that you've done in the 3D Bootcamp channel so we can look at it and comment on it and be hyped about the fact that you guys have made some sick ass barrels.
Yep.